Good morning, everybody. My name is Bart Winkler, and I'm here with two of our favorites, Grant Bilse, part of the Wisco Net Zone conversation.
Good morning.
Or whatever it is. And Paul Imig, our goodest of buddies. Let me say something to Grant first, if I may. If I just may say something.
Okay.
So Grant does, I don't know how often you do it, but you do these media availabilities
Mondays
on Twitter, TikTok, Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've seen a lot of people try to do the mock press conference. I've seen a lot of people fail, but I like yours.
Yes.
You do a good job with it.
What is it about? What is it? Is it the banner? I felt I needed a banner to do it because it's in the media auditorium that we have for the show.
I think the Q&A, it's not stupid. You know? I don't know. A lot of these, like I've seen on TikTok, like dad press conference, and they don't quite, yours is good.
I don't know. Press conferences have a certain tenor. Like they have a certain delivery. And you need to listen to an endless amount of them in order to get it. Craig's my favorite. Bud is he's just up there saying words to fill time. But Craig is my guy. Matt LaFleur can't string 6 words together without tripping over himself. So that'd be a little too difficult to listen to. But I like Craig.
Grant's also getting, because I root for people. People don't think I root for people, but I root for people. But Grant's also getting to a point where, like, he's too good, and now I'm getting, like, pissed.
No.
See, Grant, that's why Bart and I have remained cool, because he knows I'm not taking his spot.
Yeah.
Hey, if I can just say something, Bart, I was going to text you, but I didn't. Congrats on landing. I know it's not like a full-time CBS gig, but that's cool that you got, like, a show. And you're not just waiting for other people to fill in for, at least for the summer. That's what you're saying, right? That's bitching.
Sunday afternoons from 1 to 5 Central. I will be on CBS Sports Radio every Sunday throughout the summer.
That's coming back from church time. That's Sunday. That's a good slot. I like that.
Well, it won't be KTY because you guys have the Brewers most days.
I guess. Yeah.
And it won't be the Fan because we run BetQL for some reason, because you can bet at Pato or whatever.
Smart.
By the way, I do have an announcement. I will be appearing on Sparky's podcast soon.
Green and Growing or Curd and Long or
any of them, even the bowling one.
Okay.
What about the Disney one? Does he still do the Disney one?
He does not still do The World According to Sparky.
Okay.
But were you on that one, you sicko?
No, I should have been. I would have been the expert in the room, but I was never invited.
Oh, we decided as a family, too, that because I always thought that me and my brother and his kids and my parents live in Florida, I always wanted to do like a Disney trip. I think I was telling my wife that every kid should go to Disney at least once. We decided that we're never going to go. It's too like you gotta it's just too much, like the fast pass and then the armband and then you gotta sign up for restaurants. Like you can't just go to Disney. You have to go and like it's got to be it's got to be a whole plan and maybe
you need
Paul,
someone
you
like Paul. There you go.
But I would think that Paul's someone that like likes planning it out. But you can't just
loves planning it out.
If I'm just driving by and want to go to Disney, I'm like, hey, there's Disney, let's go. You can't go. And now they're gonna build a prison next to it. Politics.
Or a competing theme park. One or the other, right?
I would probably go to Universal Studios if we went somewhere.
Universal's cool. Yeah,
Paul,
Disney.
Your thoughts on me?
Well, I just hate your take. Other than like the planning part of it is fun. It's great. Like you got a 60-day window to book your restaurants. You can tell. I mean, I know Bart. If I know you, you're the type of guy that 60 days before wants to know exactly what time he's going to have lunch and where. So yes, that's one of the privileges you could have. But if you were just driving by Disney World, you wouldn't have your reservation yet. You have to have a ticket and then a reservation. And then you can stand in line if you want, but better yet, you'd book your lightning lanes. Oh my goodness, this is what it's all about. I'll teach you the ways one day. Me and Sparky will teach you.
Is it?
It's
possible?
like, I mean, you do less planning if you're going to space. Just go to a theme. I want it to be as simple as like going to Bay Beach, man. What the fuck?
Is it? Can you guys tell me? Is it possible for parents to enjoy a vacation with their kids? Like,
yes,
or is it just an exhausting week? Like, it just seems like.
Well, the answer to your question is yes. It's exhausting, and it's incredibly enjoyable.
Very rewarding. Those memories last forever, I suppose.
And I would say, like Bart, I don't know what I'm sure you feel similarly, but experiencing things through their eyes, not to be too sentimental, but like you'll get hooked on that. Like that's the hook, is like watching the magic. And it doesn't have to be a theme park. It can be a movie, a TV
we went
show.
to Arizona.
Going to Target, as Bart can attest as well, is like, it's like, oh my God, look at this amazing store. This is and everything. And it's that's where the joy is at.
That's why when I took him to a Brewer game for the first time, the thing that I remember the most is when he walked into the stadium, and immediately his eyes just went like, because he's never been in a place like that big before, that vast. Yeah. And so of all the other things that we did in the stadium, just walking in was like the highlight for me.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right.
In 10 years, let us know how you feel about that, Grant.
Parent Corner. Yeah. Bill Simmons does it, but the Bart Winkler Parent Corner, sponsored by Dan Schani Insurance. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Dan Schani Insurance, by the way, does provide the video streaming capabilities to our podcast. So appropriate mention from you. You can check him out, danschani.com. He's kind of like the me of insurance. He's doing his own thing and saving people money. I'm doing my own thing. I'm saving people money. You got your Omaha steak burgers. You got your Happy Place hemp codes. You got your Dan Schani Insurance deals. So, yeah, he's like the Bart of insurance. That's not probably how he wants to be talked about, but check him out, danschani.com. All right, some voicemails quick. Thanks to our friends at Carl's Place, Carl of et.com/Bart. This is Matt in the Falls. On Tuesday's show. Well, let me say this first, Paul. Okay. On Tuesday's show, I hate the Stanley Cup playoffs.
That's another really bad take, but okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't have anything against hockey. I don't like hockey. I've decided that I have so many interests that my brain can only take up so much, right? And there's some places where the other person would have hockey and I have soccer or Marvel or WWE or wrestling. I don't have enough space for hockey. Like I try to watch hockey and things don't stick with me. I can't learn players' names. I can't, it doesn't happen. The Stanley Cup playoffs, I feel like are my version of soccer to the normal person, where everyone always tells me there's nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But every time I watch it, I'm like, snooze. And then the Stanley Cup playoffs, what I said was they always get in my way. Like I've gone to plenty of bars in April and May in my life where I want to watch the Brewers or the NBA playoffs and fucking hockey's on. And so I dislike the Stanley Cup playoffs. And now they're on ESPN. You might default turn to there. Put them back on Versus. Put them back on the Outdoor Channel. I'm tired of this shit. Anyway, I had some voicemails from Matt in the Falls, and he is our Minnesota Wild correspondent. So we do have an update from Matt in the Falls.
Hello, Bart. This is the Bart Winkler Show, Minnesota Wild correspondent, Matt in the Falls. It is 1:06 a.m. I'm talking quietly so I don't wake the family. The Minnesota Wild just won the longest game in franchise history on a Ryan Hartman rebound winner, gift wrapped with a bow on it, outplayed for the last two periods, outshot nearly 2-1. Gustafson was incredible in the goal. Didn't even have Eriksson out there. Still took it from Dallas. In Dallas, game one. Let's fucking go.
Okay. Any comments on the Minnesota Wild's thrilling victory?
Gustafson and Eriksson are two of the names that would have been at the top of my board if I had to guess the names of Minnesota Wild players.
Yep. I think that's fair. That's a big rivalry, though, because it was the Minnesota North Stars who moved to Dallas. So that's got to always be a thing, right?
What is it with Minnesota teams moving places and then keeping their name despite the name not really making sense in their new location? Like Lakers doesn't make sense in LA.
Two. There's two of them, too.
Well, yeah, but that's more than other. Yeah, but that's still more than other.
Well, they did change their name. No, they were the North Stars.
A little bit.
They were the North Stars. Now they're just the Stars.
Which is a lame name.
You're literally describing the first opening scene of basketball. And the Lakers moved to Los Angeles where there are no lakes. And the basketball is an all-timer. Hopefully, Grant, you've seen it.
Sorry.
Oh, you're a terrible human. Watch basketball. First off, it's amazing, but at the very least, watch the opening scene because you're describing it. You wrote it. You didn't know you wrote a contributing writer to basketball, but you are 25 years later.
I'm just saying you would never name a team the Stars if you're starting a new team. That's incredibly lame. But they move out of Minnesota and then they end up with I don't know.
Well, wait a minute.
Well, the dumbest one is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah. That's another. Bart, do you know that's another one of the ones from basketball? And the New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah where they don't allow music.
Or people who traditionally have played jazz music, respectfully, to Utah.
Let me say, the Stars, though, in Dallas, I literally just thought of this, though. It's the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. So,
I was going to say, is that from a musical? But I know the song Deep in the Heart of Texas. I know that song.
But they say stars, so maybe that's why they kept it.
Maybe Tony in Texas.
Jesus Christ. All right. I got another voicemail here. It's a short one.
For Tony.
This one is for Jeff. This one is from Jeff.
It's for Jeff.
Hey, Bart, it's Jeff in Milwaukee. Tuesday morning, listening to your show. I just heard a take from one of your regular callers, and I do think he brings a lot of interesting things to the table, but I think it was brought up by Q or Cone Roller earlier a couple of weeks ago, but you got to stop with the negativity. Like, if the Bucks lose in the playoffs, we can go down all these sad fucking thoughts and places to be, but right now we're trying to win a championship and we need positive fans and people to cheer and not go, oh, what if, and wringing their hands and this and that in the past. Let's fucking go. Bucks in 6, baby. Come on. Woo!
Well, I appreciate that from Jeff because, when I put out there, I had a tweet the other night about, let's talk about my Monday real quick. Congratulations to me. I did Writer Than You. I did a podcast. I did PA for Shorewood Soccer. I worked 5.5 hours on Monday collectively. So,
attaboy.
Congratulations to me. But then also, I put a tweet about, the Kings crowd, and I get the difference. They haven't been in the playoffs in 16 years, and Pfizer will never be like this. And the comment that really bothers me is, well, Wisconsin fans we're used to scars. We're used to agony. We're used to the Bucks just won the play. They just won. I don't understand how this agony. I get it with the Packers, maybe the Brewers, but you just saw the Bucks. It's like the Bucks won and it didn't register to the Wisconsin fans. It's like we thought we were dreaming. It really pisses me off.
I thought Ty Windish made a nice point. It's like we need to talk our shit a little bit more. We're the number one seed with the best player in the world. Why are we always so scared? I'm with you. That's a good take.
All right. Well, we're all here to do So, Paul, you've meticulously prepped for this, and now I'm going on about how much Disney sucks.
As per usual, I'm very, very prepped. It does not. All right. I forget who it was on your post-game show after the Bucks lost game 1, but said something to the effect of like, well, and then without Giannis, the Bucks would be the 8th seed. So I was thinking about where the Giannis-less Bucks, how good they would be relative to the rest of the Eastern Conference. So you can put some thought into this, but the Bucks without Giannis would still have been good enough to be the 5 seed in the East. So the Bucks are the Giannis-less Bucks would still be the 5th best team in the East. So the 1 seed Bucks, they're passed by Boston, in this case Philly. Wow, help me out here. Cavs and Knicks. So I put the Cavs and Knicks, but then I slotted them ahead of the Nets. I slotted them ahead of the Hawks and the Heat. So the Giannis-less Bucks would still be the 5th best team in the East. Mm-hmm. Or mm-mm.
Well, that's interesting. They do have 3 guys that got a considerable amount of votes for the all-defensive player of the year. So,
Yep.
I mean, you would still have Drew. You'd still have Brooke. Middleton will assume his health. The 5th best team. So the 5th best team is the Nets or the Knicks. The Knicks.
But if the Knicks moved up to, 4 because the Bucks, so
the Nets are interesting.
So you're saying I'm
Nets
basically saying they're slightly worse than the Knicks, but slightly better than the Nets.
The Nets are. Your internet got a little shaky at the beginning of that question.
Go for it.
The Nets are. You know what sucks about acting? Is
What's that?
in plays or like in TV shows. If you this is very deep, but if you write like if I'm going to be interrupted, they write the line up to the interruption. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if the sentence is like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing that," if that's what the person meant to say, in the script it'll say, "Oh my gosh, I can't."
So
the person will be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't," and then the other person will say their line.
Yeah.
One thing that like bothers me, especially with plays, is that everyone waits for their turn to talk. But in real life, we talk over each other. So anyway.
That is a good point.
Oh
my gosh, we're having a fire.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you. Hey, you know what? I don't know. Very niche.
See a lot of plays though? Do you?
To really act out the
I was in plays. That's why I know this.
You're talking about high school production.
Don't you? You need to know the entire context of the line, of the statement.
Bart, how many plays have you seen since high school?
Since high school?
Since you were, in fact, in plays, how many plays have you seen?
My nephew was in Annie. And he said, "The jig is up." Anyway, we make fun of him for that because of how he said it. But he did a great job.
But he did a great job.
I would say I don't know, fit. You want to say yes, right? Because if we love their depth so much, you want to say yes. They're 11-8 without Giannis. I heard the broadcast say that 1,000 fucking times the other night. The Nets are interesting because they had KD and Kyrie, like they had an idea of what their team was, and they traded these guys and they just brought a bunch of dudes in, and it's like, what is this? Is this a team? That's why their talent is better than how they'll do in the playoffs, because they have talent, but they don't have a team.
Right.
So they don't like Philly's got a team. So they're gonna.
But what would this Nets record be if they had this team all year? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out, because the Nets minus KD and Kyrie,
45 wins, maybe 45. What did they win?
Yeah. That's the comp. Well, yeah, but they won so many of those games before they traded KD and Kyrie.
I think
how many did the Bucks win? The Bucks are above 5. They're better than a 500 team, even without Giannis.
Yep.
So if you say 45 wins, they could probably slide. Yeah. So I'll say yes. I'll say, give or take 1 or 2 wins or teams. I'll say yes, because they're better than 500. There were only 6 teams in the East that were better than 500. No, that's not true. But okay, then the Heat. Yeah, I'll say yes. You know what? I'll say yes. Yes, they would be the 5 seed. Mm-hmm.
Grant Bilse.
Grant.
I think they'd be slightly better than the Hawks, but I think they could be a play-in or borderline playoff team. I also think that coming into a year without Giannis, maybe Chris Middleton comes in shape. Respectfully, I love Chris Middleton, but I get it. He hasn't had an off season in like 3 years. I get it, but come on. So if Chris Middleton, if they come into the year with the idea that Middleton and Drew have to be the number ones, because I think they would both take turns doing that, then yeah, I think they'd be fine. I think they'd be very similar to what the Nets are now, but I don't know if this current Nets team is that great. I think they banked a lot of their wins before they traded away their superstars. So I think that's
though Mikal Bridges became a whole different guy.
Brooklyn Roads. Oh, great song. But yes, I'll say loosely, a loose.
When I close my eyes, I can almost hear my mother calling you, go find your brother. Oh, yeah.
Good job. That's good.
I'm not able to contribute to this.
2 doors above the butcher. First door on the right.
Neil Diamond has his own musical now. Were you watching CBS Sunday Morning 2 weeks ago and they did a story on it?
I will tell you, I'm aware of the reviews, which are like basically I'll paraphrase the reviews. This was total horseshit.
Yeah, you'll have that on Broadway.
Neil Diamond is not here. I love Neil. Maybe more than you.
Maybe.
He's not a good lyricist.
Oh, come on.
It's very like you can Mad Libs a Neil Diamond song.
Sure. But back in that day, that's all you had to do.
I'm talking like the last record he legitimately put out seriously is so shitty. It's so bad. Let me read you the lyrics to this song. Have you ever heard the song Have you ever heard the song At the Movies?
No.
Paul will love this.
Do you know it, Grant?
No. I'm a late 60s, very early 70s guy. That's the neighborhood I live in, and that's about as far as I go.
Okay, I'm not going to play it because I still want to monetize this on YouTube. But I'll sing it. You want adventure, they discovered the stuff. Don't need to venture past the movies. You need romance, they give you more than enough. They'll song and dance you at the movie show. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, the earth is in danger. Show. Whoa, 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 whoa. And only one man can save us. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go. You know the odds are outrageous. And by the time he finally wins the fight, we're eating popcorn at the speed of light. What are we doing here? This is the man that brought us Shiloh.
I feel like he's
that's a song Blue Jeans.
Fucking Marvel movies.
Was that by Goose?
The last record he has, the record's called 3-Chord Opera. It's some of the shittiest music I've ever heard in my life.
How many chords does he play on this album?
3 of an opera.
Yeah.
It was a different generation, Bart. Back in those days, you ever listen to Peter, Paul, and Mary? That was like the biggest thing in the world. And that's not even... If you showed Peter, Paul, and Mary music that's made today, it would kill them. It would break their brain. That little band back in the day, all you needed was 2 guitars and just, you know.
Well, I think the thing that would break their brains more than anything is these now AI generated songs that are coming out. I saw one yesterday by Drake and The Weeknd that might as well have been Drake and The Weeknd.
Oh, and it's not like you can do their voice. This sucks.
Can we AI generate a song by your band was called A Day to Remember, correct? Can we AI generate a song by your old band for a theme, an emo theme song? This has been going long enough. You need some imaging.
Can we AI generate my show?
so that no one has to do it.
Well, it'd be like,
Hey,
good
Bart, we're
morning,
trying-
everybody. It'd be like, good morning, everybody. Man, fans in this state are terrible. I am the smartest. Everyone in Milwaukee radio sucks. I don't want them to be bad. I just want them to know that they could get fired at any time. Oh my God. Here's a stupid take about Denver sports. God, I got so fucked up last night. Can I tell you about my kid? I'm a dad.
Don't forget toilet wings.
Toilet wings.
Is that was that a repeat episode? Was that like, did you just re-air that?
I'm gonna
I feel like
sing.
I've heard that episode before a few times.
I'm gonna sing about Happy Place Hemp like I'm Neil Diamond.
Oh boy.
You want some gummies? They got all the stuff. Happy Place Hemp will help you. 25% off. That's more than enough. It's such a good deal with the promo code BART. Get tinctures for your doggy. BART. Get some cream for your arthritis. It's not something that they'll say, but Bart can say it by experience. Some of the gummies get you nice and refreshed. Some of the gummies get you kind of high. Some of the gummies will help you sleep. You take the little special colored thing and you feel so good. I'm Neil Diamond. I'm living off my reputation. I'm Neil Diamond. Saving Silverman helped me reach a new generation of people like Grant, who still wears that mustache as a joke. You still have a mustache. What are you doing?
I've never seen Saving Silverman. People always
Oh, really?
Oh, it's the hottest Amanda Peet has ever been.
ask, Amanda Peet?
Grant,
Yeah,
you're the Neil. You have a Neil
She's like
Diamond
Lake
week. You've
Bell
not
before
seen
Lake
Steven
Bell.
Silverman?
Oh, here she is pictured with David Benioff. Oh, they're married. Interesting.
She's like what people like what Lizzie Kaplan tries to be.
I also don't know who that is. Also,
Party Down, bro. You've seen Party Down, right?
No, I haven't seen anything. Just assume I haven't
No,
seen
I
it.
haven't seen it.
You've not seen Party Down?
Paul, I'm a 38-year-old man. I'm not subscribing to fucking Stars.
But this was from 15 years ago. I know it just came back, but original Party Down is 15 years old.
Mm-mm.
When I worked at
Haven't
Charter, that's when Epics, the movie channel Epics came out.
Yeah.
And like we had to sell it. We had all these incentives on Epics. The reason that you get movie channels on your package is because HBO and Showtime like incentivize the hell of it, like to the agents. So like if the guy's like, I'll give you Showtime $6 for 6 months, because every Showtime you get like Showtime like gives these call centers vacations to Punta Cana and shit. It's really weird.
Huh.
Anyway,
That's my job.
Epics was trash. And what we would do is we would include it in packages without telling people. Or we would say like, oh, this channel comes with, or this package, you get this, Epics. And then I would add separately. It didn't come as part of we cheated. We scammed you.
I love when you tell stories of Charter.
Yeah, well, it was a year and a half of my life that I had to work the day after the Packers won the Super Bowl. The day after they won the Super Bowl, I had a 9:30 shift, and I was hung over. Worse
Were
than
you more
today.
hungover that day or today, recording this pod?
Oh no, that was like the worst I've ever been hungover.
I keep forgetting you like weren't younger for that. You were still very much an adult when that happened.
Grant, how hungover were you after
Super
the
Bowl?
Packers
Yeah,
won?
I was at a bar drinking during it, Grant.
I remember going to social studies class.
I
the next
wasn't
day
like,
and
yeah, I wasn't like growing my first pube at halftime like you.
Come on now. That didn't take until 7th grade.
He was in 7th grade during the Super Bowl. All right.
All
How do you want
promo
to
code BART, 25% off your gummy needs.
Grant, you should watch Saving Silverman, and you should both watch Party Down.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. All right, speaking of Giannis, I'm going to keep the premise simple and then I'll expound. Ban the charge. Or mm-mm. More specifically, ban the take charge under the hoop. Or mm-mm.
So in the thrilling media availability that I watched of Grant's, he said that it was what'd you call it, a lazy topic, or what'd you say?
No,
it was?
casual. It's a casual
topic,
but not for the purposes of this pod, because this pod we go into the nooks
well,
and
because
crannies.
I was on Rider Than You on Monday, and guess what your boy talked about? Banning the charge.
Also, different for a national show. You have to cast a wider net on a national show. That was not what I meant to say. Not what I meant to say. It's not what I meant to say.
I'll expound so it doesn't seem so casual. The answer to this is moving the charge circle farther from the hoop.
No,
Just move the charge circle farther from the hoop, and you've solved the problem. Or mm-mm.
But Bart,
this is what I said on the national show, which I filled in for Bill Ryder because he filled in for Jim Rome.
Rider Than You.
My wife's like,
Sometimes.
why don't you just fill in for Jim Rome? I'm like, well, shit, I was feeling good about myself, but now you put it that way. Like that would be fucked up though if I fell in for Jim Rome. That's like a different level of like.
That'd be fucking funny. You would have to roam it up. If you did Rome show, you would have to. Could you would you feel? Do you know enough of Jim Rome that you could jump in and do Jim Rome show? Come on, really?
I never listened to Jim Rome.
You don't need to. You know, you would be able to do Rome's show.
I used to listen to it like 15 years ago. I'm guessing it's not changed a heck of a lot. Do callers still call in and give their height and weight?
No, that's mostly been taken over by Russillo now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in life advice.
Ah.
What did you say on said national show, though, Bart?
Oh, thank you. That the reason I said one of the things I like to do now with my takes is instead of just coming out and having a take, I like to say like, I'm exploring how I feel. I like to talk it out. I don't like to just say the charge should be banned. I like to like kind of with the audience get to where I'm getting to. I like to show my work.
You're workshopping. Yeah.
And what that would hopefully do is invite more people into the conversation. I don't want to just talk at you. I want to learn where I should be going. And so with the block charge, I said, all I can tell you right now today in this argument and my feelings of it is that I just think when a guy, and I use Kevin Love as the example from the Bucks game, when a guy of Giannis's stature, the athletic ability that he has, or Ja Morant, or Joel Embiid, all these examples from the last couple of months, are coming in and they have the basket in front of them and we know what they're going to do. For a guy to just slide over and stand like a statue and then fall backwards it just looks silly. It's a silly looking thing in the game. And I said, we have to remember that the sports that we're playing in 2023 were invented in like 18 something. And so like baseball, we have to make changes in baseball because everyone is throwing 100 miles an hour now. The mound at the 60 feet, 6 inches was never intended to be that close if a guy could throw 100. Golf, you have these par fives where essentially because of technology with the balls, with the drivers, that like golf is played by athletes now and not rich fatties. You can drive a green on a par five if you're good enough. Basketball is played in a totally different way. It's not just like guys running around being like, did it, the Bob Cousy's of the world. It's these freaks of nature. So the sport needs to evolve because the rules that we are playing the sports with are 100 years old. So I think that the block charge is silly. It looks silly. I understand a defender needs his right to space, but the fact that you can like slow an athlete down who's charging and then going to brace for a big fall because you're ready to just stand there, it just looks silly, and I don't like it. So that's my opinion, is that we do need to get away from the block charge. Now, I hope that was not casual for you.
No.
I would just say, Bart, real quick. So you would just ban the charge entirely? You'd move back. So you would do more than just move back the restricted area. You would just say if you slide under. So if
I'm an offensive player and I'm like pushing on, like there's a charge, you know.
Yeah. I'm talking like under the hoop charge. Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to just stand there and take contact. That's stupid. Yes. Get rid of it.
Grant.
First of all, to follow up on what Bart said, when you were listing rules that were made a long time ago that were never intended to apply.
Do you like my Will and Grace mug?
I didn't know that's what that was.
Didn't know either.
So I have a coffee mug that has a B on it, and my wife has an N for her name.
Nancy? That's right. I know what your wife's
name is. Then we've watched Will and Grace, and they had them too, and we're like, oh fuck.
So you've not seen Party Down, but you're a big Will and Grace guy. All right, continue, Grant.
No, I watched the new Will and Grace. I never saw the original.
There's no way that's good. There's no way that's good. I don't care. Don't tell me.
It was kind of funny. It was funny.
What I was saying is I thought you were gonna use one more example in that rant of rules that were made a long time ago and maybe don't apply today, but you didn't, and I won't use.
Oh, bring it up, please. No.
No. Paul, I think the under the hoop is a good one because I feel like charges are fine. We don't want people undercutting athletes that are in the air, right? Like taking a charge of someone who's driving isn't inherently dangerous. It's when they elevate off the ground, and that only happens around the hoop. Or a smart player would only do that around the hoop. So if you just expand that circle a little bit, I think that's solid. I've heard other people say that just help side defenders shouldn't be able to take charges. You should have to be involved with the play. I think it's fine. I also, as a Bucks fan, need to realize that I cheer for Giannis, and I've seen a lot of Celtics fans and people last 24 hours who are pushing back against the idea that there's something wrong with the charge rule. Like Giannis takes advantage of his physicality, and he gets a lot of advantages from his size in this current rules system too, because they can't call a charge on him every play. Like Giannis is coming out ahead a lot. So I think we also need to realize that for the bad that sometimes come with Giannis and the frustrating parts where people are undercutting him and taking charges, he also gets a lot of free throws, right? And there's not a whole lot the defense can do with him. So I'm trying to be honest with myself about that with Giannis. Also, I was going to mention guns. Bart was the other thing that I thought you were going to, an old rule that maybe has changed over the years, but you didn't go there. That's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah. Now that this is my podcast and I don't have to like worry about casuals listening, because you're 40 minutes into this podcast. If you're 40 minutes into the podcast, you like the content. And I appreciate that. AR-15s should not be like allowed anywhere. I mean, what are we fucking doing?
Should the block charge be packaged up with the AR-15 in legislation? And should we address both at the same time? Maybe one big bill.
I mean,
anyways.
Or as my college RA would say in emails to our group, empty ways.
Jokingly, or
I don't know.
You had an email when you were in college? That's funny.
Hey, fuck off, will you?
One year, when was that? When was I in that? I think Madden 03 or Madden 03. So he made us all. It was really nice of him, but he made us to think of this. He knew we all loved to play Madden, so he made everyone in the cube like baseball jerseys, And instead of like Madden 03, it was like the same script that said Coat Hall 1C or 3C or whatever. And he gave us like 03 on the back, and like they were baseball jerseys, and none of us wore them. I mean, they were but I would wear the shit out of that today.
I was going to say, looking back, I bet you wish yeah. I didn't know you were a Code Hall guy. I was as well.
That never came up.
I feel like it must have. I don't know. I was about to ask you what dorm you were in before you said it. Can you put Code Hall on the green screen?
No, I'm gonna do something else. Prop comedy is coming back.
Fond du Lac's Carrot Top. Everybody.
Yep. Prop comedy.
He's got so many different weird things in that basement, Paul.
Yeah, I'm really
My
concerned.
basement is a treasure trove of props.
That
Oh,
is,
the letter jacket that does not fit.
Sure it does.
Oh yeah, button it. Go ahead.
Ugh!
oh god, it froze.
Got my Fondy letter jacket here. Let me show you the back. This is what a real man wears on his letter jacket. Cardinals swimming track soccer.
Might as well say "kick me" on the back. Jesus Christ!
You might as well say, I did not have sex in high school.
Oh my god!
All right.
I was also swimmer track cross, but I didn't have a letter jacket, so
You were also swimming track. Oh, okay, but not soccer. Okay.
I didn't play soccer. Well, cross country and soccer the same season.
Well,
Yeah,
you just
although I
called
ran in-
cross country. Did you just call cross country cross?
Yeah.
You nerd.
What? Paul, is that weird? Back me up on this. That's
Yeah,
not weird.
I don't
That's
know.
Weird.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Next question.
I played really cool sports like tennis. So
God, I bet you were a good tennis player. That tracks. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
does that make a lot of things make sense now?
No, respectfully, like it's not a bad thing. I don't know.
I just want everyone to be clear that they're listening to three sportsmen on this podcast, who
So there's not
talk-
one down of high school football between us three.
Flag football or middle school. I never played it. Not a snap.
I was pretty decent in 7th grade football, and then it became a bit too rough and tumble for me.
Yeah.
You know my flag football story? Well, because I'm gonna tell it.
I just want
I
to hear
never
I just want
scored-
to hear your T-ball story. Yeah, I like the T-ball story.
Well, as a catcher in T-ball, I never scored a touchdown in flag football. I wanted to be a wide receiver, but I wasn't a starting wide receiver because the two starting wide receivers, the coaches were their dads, which
That's why.
actually came back around for me in a good way when I was a goalie in soccer in high school. But I was a tight end in one play, and I did a little post move, and I caught the ball, and I was running to the end zone, and there was a kid that I knew was faster than me, but I was outrunning him, and then he stopped, and I scored a touchdown, and it was my first and only ever touchdown ever. And then what had happened was,
Oh no.
some motherfucker at the line of scrimmage ripped my flag off at the line of scrimmage. And I didn't have the ball. He ripped it off. And then so as I was running down the field, one of my flags were already off. And so nobody chased me because they figured I was down. So the play had to be replayed. And I never scored a touchdown.
My brain first thought that you're running to the wrong end zone. And then my brain thought that there was some misunderstanding about you. And I thought maybe they were letting you score for reasons. I don't know. That's where my brain went. That wasn't the case.
I thought the story was going to be that the dads who were the wide receiver kids said, "Hey, let Bart have one."
Sure. There you go. Yep. That's better than where my mind went. But your flag fell off. That's funny.
Well, it was
Although
taken off. Was removed illegally.
At that point, it's two-hand touch. Someone should have to. It's two-hand touch, I believe, if there's an incidental flag removal. I played a lot of flag football.
Oh, is that the rule?
I think so. Yes.
Now the kid, his nickname, and this is a classic youth nickname. He was the biggest kid, so he was called Texas. That's a classic youth school nickname.
It was
The
Texas who
biggest
took
kid.
your flag off illegally, you're saying?
Yeah, Texas did it.
Texas robbed you of your touchdown?
What a prick.
Yes.
Do you know where Texas is today?
Where's Texas today?
What is he up to? What is Texas up to?
He was killed in a murder suicide. But he wasn't the.
Was he really?
Just kidding. I don't know his real name. I don't know where the fuck he is.
You remember that his nickname was Texas?
You
Well,
don't.
that's how I
forget
knew the kid. Yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to you have.
I don't. No,
I
I am just kidding. I am just kidding. His name was Robert Thompson. He drowned in a fishing accident.
Paul.
I regret asking.
Yeah.
Thoroughly regret asking. Which, of course, leads me to my next question. When do you think the NBA added the restricted circle? Grant.
Oh, I don't know. Probably after the 3-point line.
I remember it was before my buddy Texas fell off that building.
I was going to say, was it before or after 9/11? That's where I gauge when things were added. I don't remember anything before. I don't know. When, Paul?
Bart, what's your guess? I would have had a decent guess, but I had to look it up. Bart, what would be your guess?
97.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm a good guesser.
That's exactly
This
right.
is a great talent I have. I'm like, my wife will be like, guess how much this thing cost? And I'll say, I don't know, $230. She'll say, did you see the receipt?
Is this like The Price is Right? Like where they had to guess the price of the item and you would have crushed at that.
And then we'll make passionate love.
You and Nancy as Grant.
Nelly. Nora.
And
Nelly,
she'll be
that's
like,
another.
oh, Texas. And I'll be like, what did you just say?
Oh my God. Okay.
97.
No, I'm much more like Delaware than I am Texas, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I saw your tweet about the banana size.
Penis size.
grocery
That
store.
meant penis size. I have a small wang.
He says wearing a letter jacket.
That features soccer and swimming and track.
When I got this letter jacket, I was 150 pounds.
What do you do
I've gained
now?
80
230?
pounds. 80,
230?
yeah, 80 pounds. Yeah.
Got to lose that spare tire around you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is that still running?
No,
The same
I don't think
ad
that's-
still running?
I don't think that's running 6 years. I haven't heard that ad in forever. I would kill to hear the divorce lawyer ad. Is that still running on the Fan? One of the greatest advertisements. Fast forward a couple of months, that one, but where the kids go to live in New York.
I think my kids in New York.
They could make a TV show. You could run that on HBO. You could form a TV show around that commercial.
I couldn't believe the first time I heard it. And then I really couldn't believe 6 years later when the same one was still running and people were pumping money into this commercial that was.
I knew I should have talked with my lawyers before agreeing to this deal with you, Paul.
But then we took out McGivern's voice and a new guy did it. You know when I knew the station was gonna die?
Go ahead.
Paul froze. It was when I had to.
Yeah,
There's a really nice picture of him.
I was gonna say I'm gonna take a screenshot of that.
And I should have listened.
Oh shit! Now we got to catch up. Everybody, just hold on to your butts. Paul is catching up here. Paul,
There we go.
you good?
I'm back.
I was told that the bumper music, like I was in charge of my own bumper music, Tame Impala.
Caesars,
I
jerk
had
it
to-
out, even flow.
Yeah, I had to run it by management. I'm like, if you can't let me control my bumper music, like, you don't need to be that meticulous and middle managing to do my bumper music. I was like, there ain't gonna be a station here in 2 months. That's when I knew.
and then you were right.
Yeah.
I would just say about the charge circle, I don't think it's a reactive. Like, so Ja gets hurt, and then Giannis gets hurt. I don't think this is reactive. I was thinking about the pass interference review after what game was that in the playoffs 4 or 5 years ago? Saints?
The NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints.
Rams and the Saints.
Yes.
That was reactive, and then they got rid of it right away. I don't think this is reactive. I think this is, and I don't think this is a Bucks thing. Like, I think if you had reasonable Celtics fans, granted, it sounds like you heard some unreasonable Celtics fans.
They're all unreasonable. There's no
who
such
were
thing.
against it. It's not a good basketball play to slide under some dude that's about to go airborne. So do something. Maybe it's move it back with the charge circle. That's all fine. All right, and then not bad for a casual topic, right?
Well, I would like to say one other. I would like to say one other thing, just because. I think I'm more important than I am. If I was offered a job back on Milwaukee radio,
Jesus Christ,
I would only take it. I would take it under one condition. I would have to have Chuck as my co-host. I am not returning to Milwaukee radio without Freems.
How does it feel to know that that's not mutual?
He won't even.
Chuck and I talked at length last night.
Do you remember what was said?
I do remember. We
Bart
shared a lot of
the effect of Bart. I think Bart was something to the effect of like Draymond, did Sabonis, and they hit him. I gotta go to sleep.
Well, it was via text.
Oh.
So how do you
I
transcribe?
wasn't drunk. I'm just hungover.
That actually, I understand that. That makes sense. What did you discuss? What did you talk about?
Things that should be kept private.
But won't be, so bring it. Let's go.
But we agree that we would love to be back on the radio together.
And who initiated this thought?
I might have.
Okay. Has he agreed to say your name yet in the Locked On Brewers podcast?
That I don't know.
All right.
Go ahead.
You want me to say a topic, or you got something else random?
No, not random. I mean, one thing that helps cure these hangovers is like a burger that's made out of steak. I mean, that shit's just fucking delicious. Omaha Steaks is what I'm talking about. .com, promo code BART, $20 off your burger flight. Order it today.
That was the Ron Swanson, in fact. After the hangover, he brings everyone a big, juicy burger the next morning. All right, here's the one I was really excited to talk to you guys about. And Bart, you said you workshop your takes sometimes on national radio, because you're not there to give a take. You're there to like feel the temperature and then find your way into your take. So I soft tested this one last night with a group of buddies. And I have to kind of walk it back a little bit because I went much harder in that text, and then I realized I might have been a little bit off base. But let me tell you how I initially framed it. The NBA playoff broadcasters have a long way to go to catch up with the quality of the NFL playoff broadcasters. Said another way, the NBA playoff broadcasters, I say playoff because, it's like big game and you kind of have your core 4 or 5 teams of broadcasters. The NBA playoff broadcast duos, trios are not nearly as good as the NFL's playoff big game broadcast duos. So I want to be clear, I'm including the play-by-play person plus the analyst, color commentator.
There's more of them. There's more, but they'll get dwindled down as the playoffs go further along, and then you'll kind of round into form of like your core 4 teams of announcers. But let's play this one out. So I don't know where your heads go, but my initial take, having watched a weekend of basketball and been mostly unimpressed and a bit confused why there's not better NBA broadcasts. The NBA broadcast teams have a long way to go to catch up with the quality of where the NFL's broadcast teams are at.
Grant has his hand up.
Can I go first? I would like to say a strong but I think it's because of the analysts. I think it's because of the color folks.
Yes.
Because I think Harlan is better on basketball than he is on football.
Harlan the other night, I did not like his call.
If I may say, because Grant, I want to hit on this real quick. I think Kevin Harlan is not good on basketball, but I honestly believe that's only because he's being dragged down so hard by Reggie. Is that he doesn't like Reggie just takes that thing and just destroys it, which makes Kevin Harlan look bad. But sorry, continue.
Well, I like Harlan's a very busy broadcaster, so I like him on radio for football more than TV, and I like him on basketball because basketball's a busier sport. Reggie's just not in the NBA. There's a lot of color analysts who are just there because it seems like there's no one else. Like they just got like Reggie does it because he's Reggie Miller and no, Doris is good. I like Doris Burke. Maybe she's not playoffs, but I like Doris Burke.
Doris had her moment. She has flipped.
So I love Harlan. Reggie's mid. I like Ian Eagle a lot.
I like Ian Eagle.
Jim Jackson again. I don't know that I don't like Jim Jackson. Loved his son at Wisconsin, an all-time Badger, part of a Final Four team, but it's just like, okay.
Jim
Green
Jackson, when I listen to him, I'm like, oh, this game's on NBA TV.
Yeah.
I hear Jim Jackson and I don't know it's Jim Jackson. Like it's so nothing sauce. Like just it's a big nothing burger. I think someone might call it a big nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that phrase somewhat recently. Sorry, keep going.
Well, no, like Breen is incredible.
Breen is great.
I love
but who is Breen stuck with? Fucking Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. It's bad.
Van Gundy's funny though. I like Van Gundy.
He's not.
Yeah, that team though works. That team works.
I agree. And I don't think Mark Jackson is great. I think Van Gundy. I like Van Gundy because he's crabby. He reminds me of Rock on the Brewers.
But why? I don't want to hear crabby uncle. Like I don't like.
Fair.
But
show me one good color analyst in the NBA. Then show me one. Show me.
Okay, I will tell you. I don't know if this is controversial. I really like Richard Jefferson.
Sure. It's hard.
I'm also very much growing on JJ Redick. My least favorite Buck of all time, JJ Redick, I think has a future in this.
It's hard for the young Bucks to get it because they sound like young, like Richard Jefferson and like Tony Romo, kind of like younger, whiny, unpolished, doesn't play great. But I like Richard Jefferson. I think he's good. But I think to answer, but I think it's because of the analysts. I don't think it's. I think the NBA's got great play-by-play people.
I didn't want to tip my hand because that was my thought. Is it's the play-by-play guys are really good. Anyway, Bart, you go ahead.
Well,
NBA has a long way to go to catch up with the NFL broadcast.
Let me slander Mark Jones. Mark Jones is.
Come on. Mark Jones is good too.
I agree with Grant. Bart, I'm against you on Mark Jones.
But
Mark Jones needs to call a game as if he's not like. I bet you he gets texts from his buddies that are like, hey, work these 10 words into the broadcast. He's a goddamn he's a thesaurus. It's annoying.
By the way, you specifically called out the way that he talked about the wattage on the light the beam thing, and you called it out as like an annoyance. I thought that was great information. I would way rather find it
piercing the atmosphere. Just say the light.
I enjoyed that call.
Well, that's the one I use, and people are like, "Oh, you're just mad the Warriors lost," which they're still going to win the series. I'm going to go bet that at Pato today.
I'll take you on that offline, but okay.
Well, here's what I want to say. As good as some of these guys are in the NFL, no one touches
Lisa Byington.
Can hold a candle to Mike Breen.
Yeah.
Mike Breen is better at NBA than anyone is at NFL.
W.
Mike Breen is fucking amazing.
Yep. I think Basketball Hall of Famer Mike Breen. I think they inducted him in the media wing.
And can I have some Al Michaels slander for a second?
Oh.
This crabby bastard was so mad about the shitty games he had to call on Amazon that they're going to flex Thursday night games eventually. And that is a huge loss.
I will say, my mother sent me a podcast now, Michael. She listens to Smartless with Bateman.
Great podcast.
Fuck that podcast also.
No.
Come on.
They're getting paid $1 million a show. They barely
Okay, so
do any work.
Yes, it is simple work for a ton of money, but it's put that aside.
Al Michaels sounded more excited to be on that podcast than he did at any point on any Thursday night game this last year.
Did you ever
Well,
see
when
the
he's on
video
Howard
where
Stern, he's like the best.
I bet.
when he had Collinsworth, he was really good.
Oh, I love Collinsworth. Holy shit. The NBA needs their version of a Collinsworth.
They just
And
they don't.
JJ Redick is angling to be that. Look, I'm smart, but it's not endearing if all you do is talk about how much smarter you are than everyone else. And he's young. Collinsworth is the stately elder of NBC. Like there's cachet
Maybe
that comes.
Jack can do NBA.
Oh God.
Does Joe Buck have a kid yet? How far? I can't wait. I can't wait to watch NFL games one day where Joe Buck's son is calling games and I'm able to look at my children and say, and I was around when his dad called games and God, he was the best. Everyone loved him. I'm going to tell my kids a lot of revisionist history. I'm really going to edit things for them and the way they were growing up. I can't wait. Anyways, sorry.
Remember, I'm just reading my mentions real quick because I had a take about the Pfizer Forum crowds being shitty, and people are getting real defensive, like, oh, the Bradley Center was good. Well, yeah, I didn't say that. I'm talking about now. And then also, remember when the Brewers gave out cowbells on opening day, and then if you try to bring a cowbell, that same cowbell, back to the stadium, they won't let you bring it in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A cross-country staple. Speaking of a great sport that's played in the fall.
I also said this casual topic on I am pro cowbell at sporting events. Not one is bad, but multiple sounds good.
I don't want to be at a game where there's cowbells.
I also am very
I think
pro
it could help
vuvuzela.
with the TV broadcast, but I don't want to be there for it.
Why not?
Because it's
in
too
your ear.
loud.
Yeah.
Too loud.
Yeah. Too much.
Do you know that the More Cowbell sketch when they say Bruce Dickinson? He actually wasn't the real producer of that song. The person who wrote the sketch used the greatest hits, and he was like the guy that put that album together. Who cares? Go on.
So Breen is the best, but Bart that overall the NBA broadcaster is not as good. Have a long way to go to catch up with the NFL overall on the top 5 teams, broadcast teams. That is.
Hold on.
He's too busy reading his mentions.
No. What's that? The little devil on my shoulder has something to say.
Oh, I feel like he's always here.
No, I can't say that. That's offensive. And I don't want it to get clipped if I say that. Okay. He says say it or he's going to harm my family.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. The devil on my shoulder saying this. You sure? Yeah, the NFL is better because there's not any women in it.
You done?
That's what he said to say.
Doris Burke is good.
No, she's not.
Yes,
Come back.
she is.
Come back.
Doris Burke is good. So is Mark Jones. That's such the gravitas of Mark Jones. He's
got good gravitas.
Like Mark Jones can dig in.
Isn't that offensive?
Of course it was. But Bart, I do think if you were I think you need to admit your bias on the Mark Jones calling the Kings.
Nothing.
But I don't think
I've not liked Mark Jones for a long time.
Fine. I would tell you, I would actually say I do not think Mark Jones should, he's the Kings play-by-play guy. Let's say that up front. He should not be allowed to call the Kings playoff game on a national audience.
I don't care about that. I don't care.
Really? I like you want to look. I mean, you're just gonna naturally get a local slant. Like even if he largely avoided it, like it's
we don't get one from Brian Anderson anytime he's in Milwaukee. He can't wait to cheer for the other team, no matter if it's the Brewers or the Bucks. So fans tell me I'm an unbiased. I'm a level above. I don't engage in.
Whoa! I'm contradicting myself.
How so?
So I just went to because I wanted to prove to you that I don't like Mark Jones, and I typed in my name on Twitter with Mark Jones.
Uh-oh.
And so on April 12th, I said Mark Jones is like if Chat GPT called a basketball game.
It's a pretty good tweet.
But then on June 2nd, 2002, so the Bucks must have been playing the Celtics.
Well, did you say 2022?
2022. I said, I like this Mark Jones and Mark Jackson team. I think they are better with each other than with their normal crews. Breen, obviously the GOAT, but I think Jones is more of a natural replacement than, say, Tirico is for Al Michaels.
Whoa.
It's a good thing you got to that before Bodie did.
So what's happened to you in these past, however, 1 year?
Well, the Warriors lost a game he was calling, so.
There you go. You found the string.
Part of you, are you really rooting that hard for the Warriors? It's the Kings. Don't you kind of want to see the Kings win too?
No.
Terrible. All right, that's fine.
My dad's so funny. So my dad's texting the family last night. I texted, because we're all Warriors fans, my brother. You guys know that?
He works for the Warriors?
Yeah. I said, Draymond, what is you doing, baby? My dad said, they say soccer players embellish. Sabonis was earning an Oscar. I said,
he got stomped on the chest.
He could have punctured a lung.
I said, Dad, Draymond tried to step him into the floor.
Yes.
And I defend Draymond. He goes, no, watch it in slow-mo. Draymond lifted up, no pressure. I said, we're debating the physics of a guy stomping on a guy's chest. Dad, come on.
I think
your son's involved here.
Yeah.
Also, my first instinct was to make an Ndamukong Suh joke within an instant of it happening.
Yeah.
And then I go to Twitter a minute later. Pete Bukowski got there. Good, Pete. You picked the low-hanging fruit. You were first to the punch. Well, respectfully, I like Pete. Some of his tweets are annoying, but you got the Ndamukong Suh joke. Well done. Good job. Anyways.
Sorry. You got one more maybe or no more?
Yeah, let's do one more because we don't have much time left. We're going to pivot to the NFL because we don't have much time left to talk about this.
The Packers are still king in this.
All day. Grant's show doesn't go until 4. I still don't think you really work, and I have nowhere to go.
So I want to ask you this because we're running out of time before the draft. And
I see.
There's an article by a reporter named Matt Schneidman, Bart. I don't know, and I know you don't see his tweets anymore because he blocked you, but he's still on the beat.
He is not good at writing. He is a bad writer.
Is he a better writer than you?
Sometimes.
That was a Bill Ryder show.
I got it. That was funny.
Thank you.
I think he's pretty good about admitting it on the show, and he got it wrong. Bill Ryder, that is.
He will challenge these Hall of Famers.
Good players who think they're Hall of Famers.
So
I gotta get
what
Bill
this breaks
on.
down is
I gotta get Bill on. I gotta talk to Bill.
Yeah, you should have him on.
We're nice.
All right. The
From
premise
Milwaukee. Here's Bart Winkler.
Just let Paul. We're being bastards. Mute yourself. I will do the same.
The premise of the article. I'll hit you with one of the paragraphs. Matt Schneidman wrote: the Jets hold the leverage now because the Packers are incentivized to finalize a deal before the draft, and New York is not. The Packers would benefit from using whatever picks they get in return to surround Jordan Love with more talent right away to succeed in year one as a starter. However, just because it makes the most sense for Gutekunst to accept the Jets' best offer by April 27 doesn't mean that he will. My question for you is, the Packers should, in the effort of giving Jordan Love the absolute most talent possible for his first year as a starter, get a deal done before the draft, even if it means taking a little bit less than you might be able to squeeze out post-draft. Do it now, even if it's a tad bit less than what you might be able to get later, because you want to surround first-year starter Jordan Love with as much as possible. Or as Bart seems like he's got an emphatic coming.
I don't get this thing surround him with as much talent as possible. I don't get it.
What's there not to get?
So we're saying the talent this year is going to be better than the talent next year?
It's just a year sooner.
We want to set up Jordan Love in his first year as a starter to succeed the best we can. I think
Yeah.
that's
Well, then have him play with the guys he's been practicing with for 3 years. Don't try to. I mean, if
Keep going.
I guess if you take if you trade for 13 and get, Michael Mayer and Jackson Smith and the Jigba, then okay. But
Yeah.
are they going to do that? They're going to trade for. First of all, on my show yesterday, I played an interview with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer that I did on Writer Than You. I had Sparky in our little production studio, and we were so at 9:25 on Monday, Bart and Sparky were in the same studio like it was my old show. And I played it on my podcast because if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it make a sound?
Mhm.
So I figured that more people would hear it on my podcast than that were listening to 1250. Because you don't know what I'm going to be on, and I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, it's 5 wides going on when I'm on. Why would you listen to me? It's 5 wide.
I do listen to I do sometimes listen to 5 wide just because it's chaotic and fun sometimes. So I agree.
Yeah, 5 wide. I went 5 wide on my Bucks post game the other night. It was thrilling.
Yeah, but then you quickly went to the 6 wide.
It's fucking
Yeah. So
electric.
Sparky said that the Jets get more leverage the longer this goes because the Packers are going to be stuck with paying Rodgers in week 1. And I said I didn't have time to say anything. I was woefully late for a break, so I had to go. But I'm at the point with Rodgers with this trade. I honestly don't need anything. I don't care. I just know that Rodgers is not the quarterback in week 1. If the Packers don't end up, if the Jets are like, oh, fine, we'll do this instead, and then the Packers are stuck with Rodgers, all right, he's a $60 million backup. I don't care. That's he's not going to come. He's embarrassed. He'll retire. I don't need a great haul for him, but the Jets are going to be more pressure during the summer than the Packers are. The Packers have 2 starting quarterbacks if they want. The Jets have 0.
Yep.
The Jets starting quarterback, they've already said, is number 2. And it's a smarter team would be like, all right, well, we want Rodgers, but we can't make it super obvious. Let's put out feelers that we're in for Lamar Jackson. Let's put out some feelers that we might draft a quarterback. The Jets aren't doing even any of that.
They're doing the opposite.
Their GM is going on stage and saying, Aaron's coming here. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, and as Schneidman points out in this article, they are I think the quote was, it would be bad faith to negotiate with Lamar Jackson, the Jets believe, because of how far they are down the road with Rodgers. I don't know how to tell you this.
I would rather
Joe Douglas, but
I would rather get more. So I just said it doesn't matter. But if the 2 options are, I want it to go past the draft because I want the Jets to feel pressure. And I want it to go past the draft. I'm rooting for the trade to happen after the draft.
Now, Gutekunst, in this article, does a very good job of painting it in the way that it seems from Brian Gutekunst's perspective.
Right, as if an 8th grader wrote it. I agree.
The Packers want it done before the draft. Brian Gutekunst wants this done before the draft. The quote here that I thought was really fascinating, Gutekunst said, certainly if we get beyond...
is bad at writing.
I hear you. Ready? So
let Paul finish. Paul's good at reading.
Here, I got the devil on me. Schneidman stinks.
The quote from Brian Gutekunst, as used in this well-written piece on The Athletic, quote, certainly if we get beyond the draft, then everything changes, compensation changes. That would be a whole different scenario, end quote. What Brian Gutekunst is saying, do the deal now, Jets, or I'm going to fucking hang on to this. And you can, that's we're going to weigh up the price if you don't do this before the draft. So that's that. I mean, to me, this is a very fascinating, marker as a point in time. Do the deal. Brian Gutekunst, in very uncertain terms, is telling the Jets, you do this now or we're jacking the price way up after the draft. I find that fascinating.
Going up. Price of brick going up. That's everyone's favorite thing to quote now. Probably haven't even seen The Wire. I haven't seen The Wire. That's why I don't quote that. Price of brick is going up. I hate it when people. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was. I mean, just I get what you're saying. Can I chime in here? I don't know. I don't. I'm not sure. I don't think any team has leverage here. I think we waste our time when we go back and forth and say which team has more leverage. I think this is more about which team will be in a worse spot if this trade doesn't happen.
Well, that is you're defining leverage.
I suppose. I still maybe one team does leverage. Well, here I think the
Jets are in a worse spot if the deal doesn't go through.
The Packers having Aaron Rodgers on their roster and paying him is not good for them, despite what Bart says. I think it is even less good for the Jets to have Zach Wilson and Chris Streveler. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the Packers do have more leverage, but I don't know. Bart, I gotta push back. I love you. You know this. But you can't just say you don't need anything for Rodgers. I don't even need any. Come on. He played here for almost 20 years. He was incredible. You're telling me you don't need at least a little scratch for him, a couple of picks, something?
I don't think he's that good anymore.
Well, obviously, the Packers don't. They couldn't wait to get rid of him.
What do you think about Jalen Hurts' deal? I thought he would get more guaranteed money, actually.
Well, the article that I was reading talked about how like beating the Joe Burrow and the Justin Herbert deals to the punch is going to make the Eagles look really good. Because if Burrow or Herbert would have got it first, then Hurts would get more. Like it's just the natural way that these quarterback contracts work. Is like whoever goes first gets less.
One of those guys is going to get
more.
Fully guaranteed, and then we're going to have to talk about race.
You think so?
I do not think so.
Oh, that would suck.
I think Deshaun Watson will be the outlier for a while. I know Kirk Cousins got his 3-year, $84 million initially guaranteed, but that's not 200. What was Watson? $235 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, all I would say is the Packers have 8 days to make a deal. Otherwise, according to Brian Gutekunst, the price is going way up. I find that to be an incredible negotiation tactic that I'm wondering how well he is sleeping at night, knowing that, like, who's going to give first? Who's going to give in first? Who's going to give in first? And by the way, did you see, speaking of your guy Schneidman, implied relatively strongly that Rodgers might have, because you saw the Woody Johnson thing, the Jets owner, where he said, like, they were about to do a trade, and then he heard about the 90% retired thing, and then Woody Johnson said, "Oh, now I'm scared to do this deal."
Yeah,
Schneidman had the take that that was intentional sabotage by Aaron Rodgers, knowing that if he said that, it would drive down the price.
No, Rodgers wants to be traded for a first-round pick.
I'm with Bart. When has Rodgers ever given a damn about his cost to the team that he's on? You know what I mean? You're telling me after 20 years, he's like, well, I don't want to completely put my team out. I want to make sure they have resources for other things.
What is with all these former Packers like shitting on hey, what's with Brian Bulaga getting all mad at Pete Bukowski for saying a preseason throw is silly?
I would say the one thing I do want to – I did not see the Bulaga thing, but I would say Bakhtiari saying, are they going to be good this year? Are they going to be good this year? Most people would say they probably won't be good.
You know what pissed me off about that Bakhtiari interview? And he was like, are they going to the Super Bowl next year? Probably not, right? As if we've been to so goddamn many of them in the last decade. Can we chill out with the Super Bowl? We haven't made one. The last time we made the Super Bowl was when Obama's first term? Like, well, they're
paying Bakhtiari $20 million to play 7 games a season.
No shit.
More than $20 million. Yeah.
I brought up on my show last week, I was like, it pisses me off to listen to David Bakhtiari, who's got $100+ million in career earnings from the Packers, and Taylor Lewan, I looked it up, had made like 80-90 million from the Titans, sit around and bitch about how their friends don't play on their team anymore. It's like, you lived at 95 years old, you don't get to hate God for killing off all your friends at 70. It's like, you got to live to 95. That's your gift.
Also,
be happy
with it. Also, 69 can be funny 99.5% of the time, but wearing it as your jersey number means you're a massive douche.
I like David Bakhtiari. It was just one of the random things. I don't know the 69. I don't know.
I think Bart, I think you mentioned it.
Go off, cook.
I think you mentioned it very briefly, Bart, in one of your shows where you wondered aloud if you were overthinking it by Bakhtiari saying they in reference to the team
I have his
he's
number.
currently
Call him
on.
right now. You want to call David?
You have his number?
Yeah.
Which one of us should hit dial first is what I'm wondering.
Do you also have it, Paul? Wow.
Yeah.
You beat reporters.
650.
Stop.
I just gave.
I would tell this to him if he was here. You're currently on the Packers. Don't say they, and don't just diminish what you think your team's season could be because your buddy's no longer part of it. That's just bad form. Bad form. That's all I got.
Fair. I don't really care about the they thing. I don't know.
Really? I don't. But do you care that he's diminishing what he thinks the outlook on the season could be, regardless of the they or the we of it all?
I don't know. I think he's doing now I sound like I'm defending the hell out of him. I think he was doing a podcast with some O-line buddy, and they're losing an all-time great. I think it's reasonable to think they take a step back. I don't know.
What was the one you were really excited for? The announcer one?
That was the one.
I love announcer talk on this.
That's what I get up for is announcer talk. Yeah, I thought you guys might too.
Do you guys know Ryan Glass-Steagall, by the way? He followed me on Twitter, and now all I see are his tweets, and he tweets about all the things that we tweet about. Is he from?
Yeah, he tweets too much. He used to work. I follow him. He follows me. I've wanted to talk to him for a while.
Okay.
There's a little bit of he used to work for Outkick.
Yeah, that's fine.
That comes across in his tweets sometimes. Oh, you know who I hate? Ryan seems like we should talk to him. He seems like a fine guy.
I just didn't know if he interned at SSP.
He lives in Chicago. He likes Wisconsin teams. He, I think right now is doing stuff for SI.
Yeah, New York Post, I think. I just didn't know if you guys knew him. Maybe he had a background at the Fan.
I think he was USA Today. Then he went to Outkick, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And now, you know who I fucking hate is Kurt Benkert.
Come on.
Who's someone I like?
Let's balance it out, please.
Oh, wait. Did we see this Mark Spears report?
What is it?
About Draymond?
No.
Suspended for the year? No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it says. Listen to the phrasing of this tweet by Mark Spears, NBA reporter Mark Spears. Warrior star Draymond Green asked for an x-ray on his right ankle after the Game 2 loss to the host Kings after feeling soreness. Source adds that Green believes the injury came when Kings star Domantas Sabonis grabbed his ankle before the stomp. He's saying, Draymond is saying, you hurt my ankle.
Sabonis did grab his ankle.
The source, whatever. But to say, hey, I need an x-ray because that guy hurt me after you just stomped him in the chest.
I'm watching it right here. I'm watching the video. Draymond, when he jumped up, he may have hurt it also. Because Sabonis grabbed his ankle, then Draymond steps on him, then he jumps up, and then his ankle kind of moves a little bit. Sabonis grabbed, he started it. Sabonis in this particular. So let me say this because I'm not going to be like my dad, but Sabonis grabbed his ankle and then completely embellished the extent of the injury. But
you're too close to this.
But Draymond stepped on a man.
Yes.
So it's if I antagonize you, you shouldn't have antagonized me. And if I get injured, okay, I shouldn't overdo it. But Draymond effectively he stepped on him. You can't do that. Anyway,
I understand. You are reckoning with this as a Warriors fan. It seems like
you're.
I'm being no. You guys are going overly Kings. Don't you want to win? Light the beam. Have we talked about how lighting the beam is an FAA hazard? What if a plane thought that was something?
Damian Lillard said, I don't think Draymond tried to step down. That's just how his balance ended up.
Yeah, Damian wants to get traded for Klay Thompson, is what he's saying.
That's exactly that's the tweet of a man who wants to play on a different team. Yes. By the way, if someone's foot was hovering above my chest, as Draymond's was to Sabonis, I might grab said person's ankle a little bit so that I can attempt to get it away from hovering over my chest.
Yeah. Sabonis antagonized him, but he should have. Like Draymond. Here's what I'll say. I wouldn't defend Draymond. I wouldn't be so critical of him, Paul, if he then, after stomping on Sabonis, who then appeared to be quite injured on the floor, if he didn't take laps around the court screaming at fans and acting like a total clown. I would have been a lot more balanced. Draymond, you still can't stomp, but I'm not nearly as frustrated, and I think it looks different if Draymond goes back to the bench and just sits down and doesn't act like a total loser about it. Like he was acting like Antonio Brown. He looked unhinged.
Yeah.
Terrible scene. Terrible. We went an hour and a half. I think this was one of our better I thought this was good. I think people will listen to this whole thing and think that this wasn't too long. They didn't go a half hour too long.
I was fully engaged the whole time. That's rare.
That does, well, you said it.
Yep. Yeah. Except for that period of time when you just read your mentions for too long. But
yeah,
it was still okay.
We need a little bit of that, you know.
All right, we'll do one next week. It'll probably be draft heavy. Bart, what's your draft coverage plans?
Oh, good question. All right, so Thursday night, I was kind of planning on. My wife's got to go somewhere. I was kind of planning on whenever like the kids down. I was planning on just being live the whole night.
Let's do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
And then Friday, the Bucks play the Heat. Well, that would be game 6, right?
I've not looked that far ahead in the schedule for the Bucks. The Packers will probably draft around like 9 o'clock. No.
Yeah. When's the draft start? 7?
7? They're not going to be to pick 15 by.
Yeah, I'll be as soon as like I'm able. So, because my wife has to go to something, and then she'll come back, and then wherever
Nancy.
the kid is. Her name's Bart Winkler.
It wasn't that, but then when she changed the last name, she also changed the first name on the marriage license.
I don't like that women have to change their names.
Bart Winkler. It does seem kind of old school, doesn't it?
I like that, like we're a family and we all have the same name. So I like that. But to give up your name, that stinks.
What's in a name? What is a name? What is a woman these days? I am speaking of draft. Can I plug my draft? Can I plug my draft coverage? I'm releasing my draft board tomorrow, a week out from the draft. And it is an actual board. I bought a big plank of wood, and it will be my draft board. I don't have anyone on it yet because up until this point, I've just been deciding the players that are off my board. This week has been about which players are on my board, and I will release my board tomorrow.
These people that have been doing mock drafts since January should get Twitter taken away.
Well, I just let them do the legwork because when we get this close to draft, all the weeds have been cut away. Like I'll just jump in when this is all much more accurate and we're much closer to the draft.
Grant, I know you're a Cowherd guy. Did you see his? If you think Jordan Poole is a great player, you don't know basketball.
Yeah, Cowherd's going anti Poole. Needs to grow up. Needs to mature. Needs to lock in. Yeah.
Did you see him? Jordan Poole was doing like the fingers above the head during those Sabonis free throws.
I texted my NBA chat last night. I'm like, I kind of just love how Jordan Poole's vibing all of the time now. Like Draymond stomps on a teammate and gets thrown out, and it's catastrophe at the Golden One Center, and Poole's just got that grin on his face. Like, are there any honeys around the where are they at? Like, he's very likable.
Yeah, he's a vibe. Yeah,
he is. He's vibing all the time. Yeah, and he's a Milwaukee guy. Shout out Ram. I don't know if he still listens, but thinking of that guy. I lost one of my biggest callers. Dave from Monona doesn't call me anymore. He's mad at me, so I'm looking to call him.
Still?
Yeah, it's still bad. Anyways, my draft board is coming out tomorrow. And
What day? Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday, because this podcast comes
Thursday.
out Wednesday morning, Paul.
That's what I was clarifying. Yeah.
So let me. We should wrap up, but
We've gone this long. You're engaged. We could keep going as long as you're engaged. That's really.
Well, now I'm thinking, should I break this up into 2 different episodes?
No. Because now you're just looking to not have to provide additional content. I know what you're doing.
Well, I need one for Friday.
I know you're just looking.
Saturday night. I am planning on a Bucks post game on Saturday night. The problem is I will be at Breeze Stevens Field in Madison on the PA mic for Forward Madison versus UW Madison soccer exhibition friendly. That game should wrap up around 8:15. Bucks tip around 6:45. So I will then race home while watching the Bucks on my phone in my dashboard. And then I will do a live show as soon as I get home.
Okay. I think that's a good plan. I think it's a great plan.
Other than the watching the stuff while he drives part.
Look, Paul, let me tell you something about the world, okay?
I watched Warriors Kings on Saturday night while I drove home.
It's a great sentiment to put the phone away. Distracted driving is dangerous. Look, we live in a fast food society. And as
we do,
a sports talk radio host, driving in the car is just time that I can't afford to not be dialed in. And as someone who goes to Milwaukee once, twice a month, that's 6 hours in the car. I watched the entire final round of the Masters in the car a couple weeks ago, and it was very enjoyable because no one was around to bother me. It's where I do some of my best watching. Now, I have the GPS holder, and then I can't. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Because it's funny. Because it's funny.
You got to get the GPS holder. I don't text when I drive. I do watch and I tweet, but I don't text.
Yeah, if I'm watching something in my car, I'm not texting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. However, with 420 coming up, a sobering reminder that if you feel different, you do drive different. So let's stay out of the car if we're celebrating 420. But if you're watching sports, if you're on the interstate, I mean, just use your best judgment. It's 2023. We're evolved creatures. We can multitask safely, of course. Anyways. Anywho.
Peter Bukowski tweets, the tight end draft value stuff has jumped the shark. Had someone tell me yesterday if Michael Mayer's comp is Jason Witten, this person wasn't interested in drafting him in the first round. Jason Witten went to 11 Pro Bowls. LOL. What are we doing here? Pete, you don't have to tweet every fucking anecdote.
What are we doing?
And I love
We're an hour and a half in. You guys are just looking at your phone. I feel like we should wrap.
Yeah, I got Daredevil. I got Daredevil season 2 to watch today.
That Marvel, you got to get off that Marvel ship, man. It's just
no way.
It's just not good. It's not good. Anyways.
All right. Well, Paul's frozen. So Grant, thank you.
I don't think he is. I just think he's
Paul was just being there. Holy shit.
I'm reading. Sorry.
Schneidman? Reading Schneidman? You look really encapsulated by whatever you're reading, so it must be a good writer.
I'm taking notes on how to journalism.
I had a good source tell me that Matt Schneidman writes his articles in crayon.
Paul, you had great questions today. Thank you for bringing good content to the table as always.
Thanks, Grant.
Like and subscribe.
We'll do it again next week.
Please end the podcast.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.